Okay, next is the approval of the November the 9th, 2020 minutes. I read them. I was not part of this at that time, so
I
you were
read through
here.
them, and
So,
I make a motion that we approve the minutes
make-
as written.
I second.
all in favor? Aye, so carried. Now, I would like for Crystal to come up for number 5 and review the discussion of Resolution 02-12, a resolution establishing use charges and policies for certain county-owned properties.
Okay. The last, I guess, change that we had to this resolution was, in 2012. At that time, and I don't know if this is relevant information, but the only thing I think we changed back then was the, time for Helena. It used to go to midnight, well, they changed it to 9 o'clock because there were some issues over there in that windmill. For that amount of time, I guess the sheriff recommended that we change the time, and that's what we did. But for this one, staff, including Karen, Burmer, and Debbie, we discussed and just think that the rates need to be increased, and as well as the deposits and some of the other things that need to come out. So starting off with that, the first change I've made is the per hour deposit for the county staff to clean up or set up for potential renters. And we charge at a minimum of 1 hour, so it would be the $35 at a minimum, depending on what they need to do to set up and whether or not they need to clean up. That goes on, and then the next change goes from $50 to $100 for the named organizations. I don't think the Lions Club has, when I rented it, used it at all, but the other 3 did. That would be the Newberry Rotary Club, the Newberry Touchdown Club, and the Chamber of Commerce used it for their monthly meetings, whether it be their breakfast that they used to hold or what have you. But that would be the, we would go from $50 per use to $100 per use for those organizations only. And in number 4, we've removed the oversight committees such as the Community Hall Commission and of course the fairgrounds, since we're no longer gonna rent the fairgrounds because of the fire training center. The community hall would come off too because they don't have a commission anymore that meets, but the Involved Citizens does, and they would meet, I believe they meet the first Saturday of every month, and I would have to check on that. I did not, this was turned over to Taylor as part of her duties, so I've not rented the facility in quite some time myself. So having said that, all of number 5 would be removed, and then moving on to item number 6 for the, gets kind of confusing here, where we've removed the Newberry County Fairgrounds all the way down, to their campsites and the different buildings that were out there that we would allow them to use, all that would come out, and then going to item number
B.
6B, where we would change, I think this is the biggest change here. We've added the address for these facilities. Of course, B would become A for Community Hall, and of course, Helena would become B instead of C. But anyway, the hall and the kitchen, we were renting it for $275 for a half day. Well, we never really double booked it because nobody would go in there and check it after that. Now, we have rented it on Saturday and then back to back on a Sunday, but they were made aware that when they went in there, they had to more or less deal with what they walked into, whether it needed to be clean or what have you. And they would usually be pretty good about coming back and saying, or taking pictures even, and showing us how they found it when they went in there. Now, these figures the prices that we've increased them to, these are just our recommendations. If there's something that council wishes to do further or whatever, or feels like it needs to be increased more than that. And I don't have it with me, but I did, of course, like I said, we didn't rent it at all last year. Maybe the first part of the year, but I know from like March on, we didn't rent it at all. So I don't have any revenues, but I could get that for full council if it goes to full council, where they're aware of what the revenues were for 19 and what the expenditures were for 1920. So you can get an understanding of why we feel like the rental rates need to be increased.
And the half day taken out.
Pardon me?
And the half day is taken out.
That's right. That is right, yes. We would only rent it for one day. And the hours for community hall, and it may say it in some of the other sections of this resolution, but the hours for community hall would be 7 o'clock in the morning until midnight. For Helena, it's 7 in the morning till 9 p.m. They are required to post the deposit before they're booked on the calendar. And they have to make that deposit with the treasurer's office and bring me the receipt back in order to be officially booked and completed the paperwork. So having said that, we have increased the rental from $275 for the half day or whatever to be $400 for 1 day rental only. No half day charges, and then the full day would be the $400. The deposit would go from $125 to $200. And of course, we took out the china, which wasn't really china. I don't know that I actually ever rented that. And of course, the linens, those were just things that were in the facility when the county took it back over from the Community Hall Commission. And that was in 2008, I believe. The Helena Community Center, of course, we put the address in there, and then the rental would be just the rental for the day, with only one renter booking it for $250. I'm sorry, I can't quite read that. I think it says $250, so that's going from $125, which is typically what people would rent. It would go to $250 for the day, and that would be from 7 to 9.
So going from 200 to 250.
Well, yeah,
Because
that's
it's 200
right.
for a full day
That's right,
and no half days.
right. That's right. And of course, the meeting room for the setup and the cleanup we discussed would be $125. That would be the deposit to actually book it. So it would go from $75 to book it for a deposit, which is refundable. They get that back even if they decide not to rent it or whatever. We do refund the entire amount of money to them. And we've suggested the deposit be $125. On to page 5, under the restrictions, number 8, we removed item D related to the fairgrounds. We've removed that section there also in letter E that relates to the fairgrounds. We've inserted the language there with the alcohol consumption. Community Hall is the only facility that's allowed to have alcohol, and that's limited to beer and wine only. We do require that they provide insurance to us. And we do or did have a policy in place that the county covers itself only. And Jay, maybe you can elaborate on that. I don't want to.
Yeah, let me just comment on that. Community Hall has been used in the past for wedding receptions and other such functions, and sometimes they serve either beer or wine or both. And so we started requiring them to provide that they have coverage for that. They can get it if they have a homeowner's policy. It's generally relatively easy to add a rider to it. But regardless of how early we tell them they need to make sure they can get it through their insurance company, sometimes they wait to the day before and they can't get it that quick. And so we came up with something where the county has purchased a policy that covers us. The policy that generally covers buildings doesn't cover activities in the buildings. It's a fire and extended coverage. And our tort policy doesn't really cover this because we're not involved with the use of the facility. So we acquired a policy that covers us. It only covers the county, doesn't cover anybody else. And if the person who's using the facility can't provide coverage through whatever source they have, then we require them to pay $200, which goes towards defraying the cost of the policy that the county has. It doesn't pay for it, but it goes towards defraying it. And in the past, Mr. Adams thought that was wise. When I first came here, I was concerned because the first time I went to an event at Community Hall, and I know probably each of you has been there, if you come out from upstairs, you don't use the elevator, which a lot of people complain about. Those stairs are sort of hand-hewn, and all I could see was somebody coming out and thinking they could go down the stairs and maybe had one or two or more and taking a header. So we hope we never use it, but we have a policy that covers that now. And we make it very clear to whoever is using the facility, this isn't going to cover you. This is only going to cover the county. If you get your own policy, and typically I'm told that for most insurance companies, it's a minimal cost to add that on. There's a couple of companies in town that don't really understand it. And I usually review the policy, so it has to come in well before they're going to do the event. And I can show them what a standard policy coverage rider looks like. Can't tell them what their company would charge them for it.
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes if you just have bifocals on, you might tip down those.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to item number F, under number 8, we inserted community hall there for the hours of operation for the community hall from 7 to midnight, and of course, that other section was in the resolution already as it relates to Helena. We've deleted G and H of that section also. And in my, I deleted item G. There's no way for us to monitor how many adults are there for the number of children. There's no way that, again, Mr. Adams wrote this, but nonetheless. Moving on to item number L. I was going to add the language about the alcohol use or whatever. You can't sell alcohol at the community hall. It could only be for those functions where they are providing it to their guests. If they intend to have it where it's a cash bar, they have to have a licensed barmaid or a tavern keeper's license in order for them to sell it.
And that requires a different type of insurance coverage than what you standard with your homeowners.
And I've also included where they have to pay the deposit at the treasurer's office, and the paperwork must be completed before they're actually booked. Some people think they can be penciled in, but they cannot. It gets very confusing, and we've actually double booked it because of that. Number 9, I've deleted that whole section. As I stated before, it was under the legislative specialist when she was in the administrator's office. And now, since we have not rented the facility in over a year, these duties will need to be addressed within the administrator's office. Of course, on number 10, the date would need to be changed to 2021. And I've also removed the previous clerk to council at the time, and that can be inserted later when that person's hired, or just, I'm not sure who.
If we pass it before a clerk to council is hired, I believe Ms. Fellers has said she would help us in the duration. But
Okay.
if we pass something, because on Wednesday night, y'all will be considering several ordinances for third reading. And if they have, Susan Fellers is clerk, but it'll be signed by somebody. That's not something, I would recommend before this gets approved by council, it has those changes in it.
Yep. Any questions?
So, you're suggesting that it come back to us typed up, ready, and,
If you want to, Ms. Arrowhead, or if y'all are satisfied with what's been explained to you, someone could make a motion to send this on to council for consideration with the revised language, so there's not any confusion.
okay.
And I would type it up and make it
With the
what I've said
with the
here.
revisions.
I can put the old one there and what I've said my changes are with the changes in a new document too, so there would be 3 that could be looked at.
Any discussion?
I make a motion that we accept the changes and send it before full council.
Second.
Second.
Just as, excuse me, Madam Chairman, just as a point of procedure, you have a council meeting coming up in 2 days, and it's sort of a full agenda, so without
Let's
objection,
hold
I
off
think
on to the
Let's,
next.
yeah,
Crystal can get it to the next council meeting, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
17th, I think.
Yes.
that sounds right, yeah,
I think you can hold on to that.
okay.
Nobody's
You haven't
ready.
started ringing it back out, have you?
No, that, we have not.
Okay.
You got a
A
couple
lot of this
people
got held up because of COVID too.
We have
so-
had interest in the rental of it, but we've not opened it back up.
Prices are still cheaper than I get, but that's good.
Okay, I have a motion and a second, then
Yep, Madam Chair, if I could, just for clarification on that last point about have we opened it back up yet? There's not been any use, and I know it was closed completely during the COVID months, and there has not been any use since I've been here. There are 2 groups that have expressed interest, one being the Rotary Club, which I think used it before periodically for
They
their
did.
either monthly or bi-monthly meetings, I'm not sure which, but they've expressed an interest in returning to the facility. They indicated to me at the last time I spoke with them that they wanted to be back by the fall, but then when that latest COVID surge hit, they backed off of that and said maybe November, December, but I haven't heard back. So they've sort of backed off at this point. And there is one other group, and I think they actually spoke to you at one point, which is the JCs. They are hoping to use the facility in January, I think at the
Yeah, that-
last couple of days in January. In fact, they submitted paperwork. I don't know whether you've seen it, Crystal, but they submitted paperwork today, brought it by the office, applying for use in January. And again, I think it's January 29th. There's the very last part of January for an annual event, I believe that they have. So that is on the horizon, and you know, we've said tentatively that should not be a problem. Hopefully, by the next 2 or 3 months, COVID will yeah, everybody knock at the same time. But COVID will be waning at that point. But so those are the only 2 interested parties at this point that I'm aware of.
Just let them know the new pricing.
Right, well, she did come in today. I was in the middle of that tax
Right.
sale, so I didn't.
I knew you were tied up, but
I didn't stop to get the paperwork and send her to the treasurer's office, but I did indicate to her that we had a meeting tonight and that the price
Proposed new
could be
pricing.
changed and that she could come back tomorrow. But being that it's in January, I mean, she can go ahead and, I'm not really sure how to handle that, if she should be paying the old rate or the new rate.
I would tell her tentatively, it depends on what council approves upon time she.
Perhaps
reaches.
wait until after the 17th and, because it's ample time.
How
I
many
think,
readings does that gotta go through? Just one?
No, this is a resolution. Yeah.
Resolution
I'm
one
sorry.
time?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So I would-
Council considers it on the 17th and approves it. It's done.
And if she's not renting it to January, it's gonna be the new price,
right, okay.
in my
Sounds good.
opinion.
Yeah.
Sounds
Okay,
good.
I have a,
Now we just gotta vote on it, right?
I could, just gotta vote.
Yeah.
All the, everybody, it's approved. And we'll have that on the 17th
Right.
as a resolution.
All right, thank you.
Very good, thank you, Crystal.
Next, we have Catherine Cook, Director of Human Resources.
Good evening. It's been a long time since we've met, at least like at exactly a year.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I have 3 items for you tonight. The first item is the holiday schedule. The county will observe the Thanksgiving holiday on Thursday, November the 25th, and Friday, November 26th. The Christmas holidays will be observed on Thursday, December 23rd, Friday, December 24th, and Monday, December the 27th. And the New Year holiday will be observed on Friday, December 31st this year. The second item is the employee Christmas dinner. Basically, due to the current status of COVID, we've decided to cancel the Christmas dinner again this year. We just want to be safe and as cautious as we can be. The third item I have is the employee Christmas gift cards. In lieu of the Christmas dinner, we wanted to do what we did last year. Employees would receive $100 gift cards from Food Lion. Food Lion offers us a 5% discount to purchase the cards. There will be about 214 cards purchased. We also order the library's gift cards for them, but they do pay for them. And that is what I have for you tonight.
I make a motion that we accept the holiday schedule and accept the gift cards of $100 in lieu of the Christmas dinner.
And I second, that's sufficient.
Okay, everybody? It's approved.
Thank you.
There's no need for an executive session. Do we have any public comments? I don't think we had anybody here, so. Do we have any other comments or requests from anyone?
No,
You
ma'am.
don't have anything?
No, ma'am.
Do we have
I
a,
appreciate you getting all that together.
yeah? Yeah.
Next time, go higher. I'm greedy.
Well, that's been 9 years. So. Okay, do we have a motion that we
Catherine, good job to you too, by the way.
Yeah, we appreciate all your
And I do
hard
make
work.
a motion that we adjourn.
I second.
All right. It's a done deal.